All right, Josh. So why is this the standout? If you had to choose, we made you choose. Why was it this one?
Yeah, you made me choose. Well, for me, Two-Headed Boy is kind of encapsulates everything that I love about the album as a whole. Again, like one, it's just him and the guitar, right? You know what I mean? When I write songs on my guitar, right? Like I'm like imagining the drums and the bass and the filling out, right? It's not enough, right? It's not just me and guitar. And the few times that I've gone to open mics, I usually get that reaction from the audience too. It's just like not, you know what I mean? It's like, but if this guy walked into a coffee shop or something and just played this song exactly as it was, you know what I mean? Like, I think everyone would just have to stop. You know what I'm saying? And it's just him and a guitar. And again, it's a simple, it's like dun, 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 dun. I mean, there must be 5 chords in this entire song,
right.
you know? And then I think this, specifically this especially encapsulates that whole, you know, surrealistic imagery, but also has like very personal stuff. And since I have the lyrics pulled up, I mean, like it starts off, you know, like two-headed boy, right? All floating in glass, you know, and I'm listening. And then, you know, the sun it is past now is blacker than black. I can hear you as you tap on your jar. Great. There's some little person, I don't know, in a jar. But then he starts, you know, then he's screaming. It's like, I'm listening to hear where you are. Yeah. I am listening. And he repeats it, right? I am listening to hear where, I mean, that's like, I'm listening to hear where you are emotionally, where you are in your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a real personal thing. And then I'll just, the same thing with like just the second verse, you know, two-headed boy, put on Sunday shoes. Again, that speaks to this church-going son, you know what I mean? Like, and dance around the room to accordion keys with the needle that sings in your heart, catching signals that sound in the dark. You know, I mean, that's a spiritual person for me. Like, it sounds like he's talking about something very specific to himself, you know. But again, it's like I don't want masked is not quite the right word, but it's somewhat filtered into this like imagery, you know.
He's doing it with that. He's setting a scene very specifically,
but he's
like an
very
emotional
much in
the
that
emotional
scene.
place that he's in.
Yeah, and he's very much in that. Yeah,
the stakes are high,
very high.
The stakes are super high.
Absolutely, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
And then you know, like the two-headed boy, it's like also just a striking image, isn't it?
Oh, no doubt.
Like
I mean,
right
like the duality of life, the duality of people. You know what I mean? Like, what a great way just to start a song. You know, two-headed boy. Yeah. I mean, it is striking. And then, of course, there's a reprise at the end. You know, which I'm all about a reprise. Like,
bring it back. Give us another taste.
You got me. You know what I mean? It could be a terrible song that you reprise, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was good.
Just a little bit more. You got any more of that two-headed boy?
This also just made me think about, like, I mean, if you think about the sort of narrator of that song is like him as a child, and you sort of looking at through like an adult lens. There's 2 like references that kept coming up like when I was like doing some research for this episode, and one was Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah.
As being like sort of, this is like that's the children's book equivalent of this album. And the other, and this actually didn't come up, but I made this comparison because I just feel like this is the most like Wes Anderson album I could ever think of.
If you would have said that in 1998, I would have been like, yeah. I mean, I used to be a Wes Anderson junkie, but like I'm off the Wes Anderson just because. Well, just because it's the same thing over and over again now.
Well, but no, we're talking like I'm talking like early Wes Anderson. I'm talking like
Rushmore, like Rushmore. I really like Rushmore. I think Rushmore's underrated.
And even Tenenbaums a little bit.
Tenenbaums is his masterpiece.
Tenenbaums is great.
But this isn't a movie podcast, you know.
Yeah, as much as Tyler wants it to be one. Yes.
Oh.
Well, no, he just wants us to
do talk plenty of movies on
3 other podcasts in addition to this. Yeah.
I would say I hear exactly what you're saying. Like aesthetically, it's like kind of a Western, but it's much darker than that. You know.
I
was about to say it's not.
It's like Wes Anderson on acid, is what it is.
That's a good way of putting it. That's a good. Yeah. I guess maybe it's also
you wouldn't call this twee.
no. This is not twee.
Right.
What's
And
But
to
I-
me, when I
Whoa,
think
whoa.
Wes Anderson nowadays, I think twee.
Twee is it's like it's cute, but like also like so for example, now when I think of Wes Anderson, the only because I haven't seen one of his films in a while because I'm like I've seen it and it's always square, so like why do I
Right.
need to see it?
Exactly.
But sorry everyone, but but I
I'm
always
with you,
think
Michael. I'm with you.
I always think about when Tina Fey and Amy Poehler hosted the Golden Globes one of the 3 times, and they introduced Wes Anderson and saying, Wes Anderson is here. He arrived on a bicycle made of antique tuba parts. And I just think, like, that is Wes Anderson to me now. That is and that's twee. That is twee.
That's
So,
pretty good.
It's
Zoe
funny.
Deschanel, she's twee as well.
Yes,
You know?
yes, yeah.
A comparison that came up for me, and I don't know if this is true, but like I was thinking about Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy,
Tonight.
and right, exactly, right,
Yep.
yeah, but done better, but done way better than that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
done with
it's
a,
like-
done with a more country folk kind of
Yeah.
sensibility about it. Almost like the southernness. The
Right.
southernness negates the pumpkinsness of it. I
Yeah.
guess, maybe.
Like it's steampunk, but not arch like steampunk is. You know what I mean? Because
Okay,
like steampunk always feels like you're holding your emotions at a distance, and it's like, ooh, look at us with our
and there's
gears
too many
and,
top
ooh,
hats in steampunk.
way too many top hats, way too many. And this maybe it's also like we haven't talked about the album cover at all. Like the sort of like
Mhm.
antique like postcard that they dirtied up and like made a little absurd as well. The like woman
Yeah.
with like the drum as the face.
Yeah,
talk
right.
talk about like talk about being on acid. Like that's
No doubt.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a fever dream, isn't it? Right?
It
It's
is,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm, that's
Yeah,
a good. That's another good way of putting it. Is that it's
Yeah.
a fever dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe when we talked about Smashing Pumpkins, what we came to the conclusion of was that Smashing Pumpkins was kind of like the platonic ideal of alternative in that moment. I think this is like it's a genre averse album, right? Like it's definitely rock music because the guitar is so central. But I think with everything else gives it this sort of circus-like air that almost feels a little bit like Baroque pop a little bit too. Like it has a little bit of Fiona Apple. It has a little bit of Regina Spektor. It has a little bit of Rufus Wainwright. So that doesn't make it feel super alt to me. It makes it feel a little bit more. It really does. It really, when you think indie, you really do think Neutral Milk Hotel, I think.
In 1990, I mean, I guess I was like, I mean, was Wilco indie in '98? I don't know. Like, I'm trying to build this.
They were alt country then.
Yeah, built this build up, but it was. You had to look for music.
Mm-hmm.
You had to look for music. You know what I'm saying? And like, or stumble upon it by getting drunk in your friend's car. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the radio didn't play this shit. You know, like Smashing
That's true.
Pumpkins were like this fucking. You know, nothing against Smashing Pumpkins. I love a couple of their albums, but like, you know what I mean? They were not corporate, but you know, they were playing stadiums and shit like that. This guy was, you know, like it's weird. It's weird that this album came out.
We should talk about the lore a little bit before we get to the kind of like nuts and bolts of perfection. Michael, you think that's the right way to go here?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a lot of lore with this.
Yeah.
What are you thinking of specifically, Tyler?
Well, I guess it's just interesting because you kind of mentioned how you like kind of topped up on lore about this in preparation for coming on here and talking to us about it. Reading about it, even kind of on the most shallow level online, it is so like fable-like. It's almost like this kind of epic quest for this guy who is. I use the word misanthrope, but I don't know if it's that. I don't know if he's quite misanthropic because it's not like it doesn't seem to hate the public. You know, it doesn't seem like there's this contempt. It just feels like this aversion to celebrity and the spotlight that we do see depicted a lot in media. We do see it is an archetype for sure.
It's a little Salinger.
Yeah, that has been
J.D.
invoked.
Salinger.
That was invoked. How do you understand his public persona and like all that? What does it mean to you, Josh?
Well, very little other than like, you know, the Wikipedia page or what ChatGPT gave me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if I were to interpret it, and again, I'm putting on the narrative that may or may not be there. Like, it's hard to say that he would have had an aversion to any sort of fame, because it's not like everybody was talking about this album. I mean, I still think it was like an
It was
underground.
underground
It was like
enough.
college radios were playing it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's not like all of a sudden, freaking. I was gonna say Tucker Carlson. What was speaking of TRL? What was that? What was
Carson
that?
Daly.
Carson Daly.
I'm sorry. You mixed up.
That's good. We're clipping that.
Wow.
But
Josh.
it's not like Carson Daly was like, "Hey, you got to check out this album," you know what I mean, or anything like that.
Though
But
weirdly, at the time, he might have actually been listening to this, because at the time his musical tastes were apparently kind of
is that
indie.
right?
Now, well, they were, and now he's freaking the host of The Voice. So like, does he know what music is anymore?
Man, the dude's 50-something. He's got kids. He's got to put him through college. I don't hate him for that. Go for it, man.
Yeah, get your bag. Get your bag. And you know what? To Jeff Mangum's credit, I would say, it does sound like in the ensuing years, since he sort of like went full recluse mode, that he's kind of come back out, like they had that definitive edition of this album that came out last year or 2 years ago or something like that.
And friend of the pod, Meg Williams, told me that apparently the song Holland 1945 is one of Stephen Colbert's favorite songs, and he would always play it before episodes of the Colbert Report, and then on the final episode of the Colbert Report, Neutral Milk Hotel performed that song live on the show.
No shit.
Is there a clip? Can I see that?
I don't know. I have not had time to research this. Wow. We are going off of, I haven't looked for it on YouTube
Hearsay.
yet. Hearsay. It's all hearsay.
It's Meg say.
It's lore.
That's what it is. It's lore, baby. It's lore.
Speaking of lore, so apparently, speaking of Holland 1945, like he was reading the Diary of Anne Frank and was overcome with emotion, as you're prone to do in your 20s, and just spit out, brilliance,
Now I feel like Anne Frank is so part of the lexicon. Like it's a story. Like I read that in middle school. Like that was that it's so part of the lexicon that I think using that story as like a vehicle for this song, for these particular kinds of songs, feels like really dramatically right in some ways, right? Like, because he's talking about Anne Frank's experience in a way that is like not at all ironic, like it is just genuinely in touch with like reminding ourselves what the emotional core is about Anne Frank's story. And it's one of the more effective ways of like interfacing with another piece of art that I've seen in my life, probably.
Yeah.
Well, before we talk about perfection, I do have just one quick little question, which is, are you also a fan of bands like the Decemberists or Arcade Fire? Because I feel like neither one of those bands would exist without Neutral Milk Hotel and this album.
That's great. You said. I mean, I hadn't even made that connection until you said that, but it's like, oh shit, yeah, duh, of course. The Decemberists, I dabble, but they were kind of like arcade knockoffs, kind of, weren't they? Like they were kind of like.
I was only nominally into the Decemberists.
Yeah. I mean, Arcade Fire, and I know he's gotten some stuff going on there. I'd never read exactly what it was, but love Arcade Fire. I mean, like still love. I mean, there was one album maybe I didn't. No, but I mean, even the lesser albums I still really like, and I love the last one that came out.
Reflector.
No, the last one was.
What was it called?
We are.
We are.
It might have just been we. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
No, that's. I cannot believe I haven't been able to. Didn't draw that line before you said that, Michael. But that's spot on. That's really spot on, because they do the same stuff, don't they? I mean, they paint these images, but it's really personal.
And the instrumentation too, like it's like a wild assortment of instruments that all come together in ways that you're sort of they're unexpected for like a rock band. I guess.
Right, totally.
Yeah,
it was called We, and they did release an album last year, by the way, which I completely missed. It's called Pink Elephant.
I totally missed that.
Haven't listened to that. Or no, sorry, it was released this year. I haven't listened to it at all. Whoa. I don't know anything about it. So I can't.
That's the problem. It's saturated, just like everything. It's like
it is, man.
How do you miss like the new Arcade Fire coming out? I mean, I guess as bands get older and stuff. I mean, like
wasn't it?
Wilco, I've missed like 5 of their albums. And like Although
He
I heard Jeff Tweedy put out a
triple,
triple.
3.
sounds
Mhm.
great.
Have you heard it?
No, but I just saw Wilco for the second time. I love Wilco. I'm a big
Yeah.
Wilco guy. That was such a good show.
Okay.
And like, there's, they've released albums. I don't say stay super on top of each album that comes out, but I feel like I'm aware of Jeff Tweedy enough and kind of what he's doing that I just kind of pick him up. I pick him up from there. Yeah. Okay, Michael, do you want to go for? You want to go for that?
So yeah, we've been delaying this, Josh. I mean, you had a lot of time to think about this because, as you have said, you have been waiting to be on this podcast. So then, when we finally asked you, you gave us a list of albums that you believe are perfect. But what are the standards you use to determine their perfection?
Well, does this segment normally go this long? Because I think it's pretty cut and dry, right? It's like no skips, right?
Sometimes this segment lasts 15 seconds.
Yeah,
and then we talk about something else.
It's like no skips.
No skips. That's it.
No skips. And it doesn't. It's not always. No, I mean.
Well, it could be
honestly,
no skips
yeah. I think,
and no shuffle. Like you can't. This is another one of those albums. If you were to shuffle this, it'd be like, whoa, like what's happening?
That is true. Yeah, no skips, no shuffle. That's true. I mean, like not to bring up your other albums, but like I think, like I threw a couple suggestions out there, and the Blue album was one of my
Weezer.
Weezer's Blue album, and you said, well, we'd already done Pinkerton, which Pinkerton is clearly the superior album, but Get You. Nah, skip Get You, man. You skip Get You.
Interesting.
However, I'll say this.
You might skip Get You.
Yeah, you skip Get You. But I will say this, buddy of mine, and like Weezer, I mean, we could do a whole nother podcast about Weezer. I mean, how I was waiting for the album after Pinkerton, and then the Green album came out when me and my friends were graduating college, and as we're graduating and like real life is about to smack us in the face, and like we knew our like childhood adolescence was dead. But one of my buddies texted me, or I might have texted him. I said, hey, do you remember when Get You was the worst song Weezer ever?
Right. No, that is. And because they didn't, it wasn't like they immediately like turned the dial all the way to shit. Like was like, it took them a few albums. You remember Make Believe was kind of okay.
I like Make Believe. No. I like Make Believe.
Make Believe was all right.
But I'm going to tell you this, and I don't know how much time you have. So I went and saw the, now we're on this Weezer kick, but I saw the,
no skips.
The Blue Planet, tour, whatever it is, Weezer, about this tour?
This rings a bell.
So they were playing the entire Blue album in its entirety from beginning to end. That was selling point.
I bet that was
Flaming Lips opened for them.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
No, it was awesome. And so, but what was fascinating, well, one, it was stupid because it had like a story, like they came out in astronaut suits and they were like, we got to save the Blue Planet. So we all have to get on this ship and go to this thing. But then, before we got to playing the whole Blue album, right? Because that doesn't make up a whole concert. Like they had to play some songs along the way. And so they went through the Pinkerton asteroid belt and they played like five songs from Pinkerton. But here's the fascinating thing. The songs that they played that were not on Pinkerton and were not on the Blue album were all the good songs, which means he knows. He fucking knows.
Of course he does. Of course he does.
That little shit.
He does. And because I think Rivers Cuomo is that motherfucker who has a spreadsheet of which songs of his are most listened to. And 100%. I bet, and like, well, that record labels have that anyway. Like, 100%. Their label could just hand that to them.
Oh yeah.
It would take them 10 minutes to run a request on that. So it's like I completely agree that he knows exactly which songs are good and which aren't.
My theory, and again, we're going off on a tangent, but like, if you believe the narrative that like Pinkerton didn't get the success of the Blue album and it crushed him, because he was like 21 years old and he's a smart motherfucker and he's a really talented guy. And he's like, okay, you want shit? I'll give you shit. And they ate it up. And so like he puts out this shit and they're millionaires for it.
Yeah.
But in every single Weezer album, there's at least one or two gems on there, which is very frustrating as hell. I
kind of agree with that too.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. All right, so then we'll say that burnishes your case for perfection. Right. No skips as the core, I think, is a really, like, honestly, it kind of makes sense, and we'll talk more about that. But in order for us to be able to talk about that, Michael, I think we got to enter a new phase, right?
Yeah, I think maybe we need to enter the
deliberation phase.
I thought you were
Yeah.
going to say the Pinkerton asteroid belt. So.
No,
We could have.
no,
We could have.
no.
All right. There was a sound effect.
Yeah.
Josh, we're now in the deliberation phase. So we're going to review the case that you made to see if it's up to snuff. Okay.
Okay.
Michael, you first or me?
You go first this time.
Okay. Yeah. So this is let me touch on why no skips feels like, sometimes people will have a lot of standards for perfection, and sometimes it's as simple as no skips. And I do think that this is a good example of that, right? Because this is yet another album that feels like each song, it's really like an orchestra could play it. Like an orchestra could play it in a evening, and it's like a piece. It is a piece of music. It is a suite, is an orchestra with different instrumentation, obviously, but it's like, it reminds you why we have albums, right? It reminds you why albums are constructed at relatively this length, and with these segments, these chapters, that we think about them, because it's a whole musical being in an album. Like, this is Jeff Mangum's heart and soul in the form of an album. Anyone should be so lucky to write one song that is as good as this album is altogether. And so this is kind of where, like, I appreciated you singing these songs as much as you did, because not everybody does that. Do more of that, people who come on the pod. We love that shit. But it's just like, you can't help but it runs over, like it overflows, the way that these songs hit. And that's the feeling that I got from your case. You had all the emotional citations, if you will. You cited all your emotional sources for this. So yeah, this is, in just the way the album's complete, you had a very complete argument. Would you agree, Michael? How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I think when you were talking about Two-Headed Boy, like, because I asked you about the lyrics and about how they're sort of not out there, but a little out there, and like how you make sense of them, and something about when you were describing that song and what's going on in that song and referencing the lyrics and like the religious connotations, and it's just a lot. While you were talking about that, a lot of things sort of came together, like the fact that he's from Louisiana, and the religious influence, and I don't know, just something about that made the whole thing make more sense to me. In terms of like what the overall story is of this, like what the overall like art, if the album has an arc, like that's where it is. And maybe the real heart of the album is in that standout track that you have chosen.
It was well chosen. Yeah. It was well chosen for sure. And I also think, let me also just say that there is no, like, it is so us. It is so white guys who grew up in the 90s and 2000s, like this is it's so on the nose for us that I think it like bears repeating, right? It's become so associated with a particular kind of person who listens to this. It kind of defines a scene in some ways, which I think which speaks to its impact. So this was a solid reasoning here.
We haven't even talked about all the singing saws on this album too. So like,
oh yeah, right.
That could be a whole other thing. But anyway,
you always remember, saws can sing. Just be careful. They're sharp.
Well, Tyler, I've said my piece. You sort of showed your cards a little earlier in this episode, but let's pretend like we're not biased, and tell me and tell Josh, Tyler, does Neutral Milk Hotels in their Aeroplane Over the Sea go to 11? Is it perfect? Can it join the Pantheon?
Yes, it can. Lightning strikes. Pew! Singing, the crowd singing.
Singing saw.
Hell yeah, it does, man. Well played.
What is that it? You get a vote, Mike? How does this Pantheon work?
It's assumed. It's assumed that whoever puts the other person is saying like, well, I think it's fine, but what do you think?
What do you
think? Yeah.
I would be remiss not to point out one other lyric. Two more, like the last song, which is Two-Headed
Cherry
Boy.
on top.
Go for it, a little coda.
Two-Headed Boy Part 2, and we're talking about these very abstract images, but like the first two lines of the Two-Headed Boy Part 2, the reprise is like, and I'll sing it for you. Daddy, please hear this song that I sing. I mean, it doesn't get more simple and personal than that, you know? And I think we all have daddy issues to some extent. You know what I'm saying? In
That's
your
just having a
heart,
dad.
there's a spark that just screams. Ah, it's so good.
Yeah,
So
dude.
good.
Yes. This is
Because after we've gone through, I'm sorry, like I'm like in the. You
I
can
love
cut
it,
this into
dude.
the
I
middle
love
of the
it.
podcast. You cut this in the middle because after we've gone on this great journey, it is the
Yeah.
simplest song at the end, and it just said, "Daddy, please hear this song that I sing." You know what I mean? It's like,
I couldn't agree more.
kills me,
It
kills
does
me,
get me. Yeah.
gets me, man.
Josh, what do you want to what are you up to that you want our listeners and viewers to know about? What are you up to these days? Anything you want to shout out? Anything you want to like tell people to?
Is this where I plug things?
You get to plug
Dude,
things
plug
if you want. Yeah, I mean, for all of our hundreds, tens of hundreds of
Well,
listeners.
let's see. If you come down to Chelsea tomorrow night, I'll be catering, and I don't know if you can get.
We're talking like mid to late fall into winter.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, man. I'm an actor, so I'm in the. I finished a play this summer. I'm back into auditioning and
Good for you,
catering,
man.
living the dream.
Keep
Yeah.
it up. Keep it
Yeah.
up. Well, we love having you. It's great to meet you properly. Hope we get to meet in person sometime soon. When I'm in New York,
That'd be
I'll
awesome.
first round's on me.
All right.
Well, dear listeners and viewers, we hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as we have enjoyed talking to Josh. Make sure that you do all the things you're supposed to do with social media, follow, like, subscribe, all that stuff. We're on, a lot of those platforms. Yes, please and thank you. That's the best way to find out what's coming up, when a new episode's about to go live. If we're having any special episodes, that
just might be.
We might. You never know.
Always doing something.
But yeah. You got anything else, Tyler?
No, I think that's it. We'll see you next week.
Bye.